Hey, um, I want to play you through a situation that I had during my last game. Um, I had a buddy over. We were playing a game. He was playing Soviets. I was playing Germans, and I think there's something in what I did that potentially you can learn from a little bit. I made a setup for a move that sort of ended up winning me the game. Um, so let me take you to my table and we can discuss what happens. Right, a little bit of shifting here, including my microphone. So there we go. Right. So this was the setup. This is my winter table here. And so let me just point stuff out to you. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay, I'll put the mic over here. It will be in the way a little bit, but hopefully not too bad. Right, so we had a central objective here in this forest. This red dot was the central objective. Now my opponent had a 5-man veteran SMG armed Soviet scout unit. They were strung out behind here. He of course had set them up after initial deployment, right? He also had a tank over here behind this hill. It was hauled down, so it was not actually visible. So he had a tank. He had those scouts. Also along with the tank, he had a company commander who was sitting here behind. And over here, he had, don't know if you can see them, here, a Soviet dog mine team. Very dangerous, very problematic. So, that's the setup. Me, on the other hand, I was over here, in behind this forest here, and so I had a T-38, the Czechoslovakian tank. Brilliant little early war tank. It had moved up pretty far in my deployment zone. Behind it, I had set up my my Cossack officer on horseback. He was inexperienced, and then 5 veteran Cossacks cavalrymen here. My Cossack cavalry, right? So unit of those. That's the setup, right? Now. We go into turn 1. The first thing I do is I start with my tank. When I draw my first dice, that's the first thing I do. And I actually managed to get the first dice this turn. It didn't really matter that much because there was not much he could do to me. So what I did was I get one of my dice and I advance the tank up 9 inches to here. Now, I'm pretty close to those scouts, so I'm at point blank range. He can now not really go down, but I would still want to encourage him to do something like that. So what I did was I shot at him with my main gun using HE. Now, he had a problem with that, right? Because I was shooting with my coaxial machine gun. 3 shots, okay, he had soft cover, he was a scout, he hadn't moved. So that was a pretty good 4+ save. And he could not go down because I was in point blank range. But the HE, that shot there, could hit 2 of his guys. And he did not want to take that risk. So he went down anyway to have the hits. Which, that was fine. So I shot. Oh wow! Okay, that was a lot of hit. That was 2,605. Okay, let's say I shot that. I didn't kill anyone, so I pinned him to the pin, and then I shot my main gun, needing a 5. I get a hit, and again I don't kill anyone because I only have +1, and that is a 3. But I could do an extra pin, and I did. Right. This was more or less how it played out in real life. I'm going to play through this with you guys, right? So his scouts are now pinned down and not moving this turn. Right. Now I want to waste time as much as possible. Right. So I'll just pull dice here. He gets 1 dice. Now he knows that that tank is no longer something that he can harm with his dog mine here, but he wants to set up for next turn. So what he did was he pushed the dog mine up close as they could get behind this forest here. I hope you can still see them. Whoa, they're right behind this little tree line, sitting here waiting for next turn. If he gets the first order dice, he'll move them up, take the shot. Right, next order dice, him again. Now, he does not want his scouts to be pinned down. He does not want the dog mine to be able to shoot him. So he does something, fairly clever. He moves his company commander. He runs him 12 inches up here. Because that will mean that he's potentially within range of those scouts next turn to get them going, right? So they could do stuff. He wants that. He does not want to move his tank just yet. And at this point, I get 1 of my dice. I still don't want to move my cav. I want them to go as late as possible. So what I do instead is I move my officer. I give him a run order around and up behind the tank. In case that tank is hit, he is now pretty close to it. He can do stuff to keep it alive. If the scouts move up and shoot at him, he can move back behind my forest here because I have an escape move. He's cavalry. So he runs up behind here. Now, at this point, I really don't want my dice. I want to have the last dice. But if I get it, it's okay. I can work with it. I get it. Now, what I do is I run my cavalry over here. 18 inches. And I sort of string them a little bit along. Because I want one guy to be able to see that line here. I want one guy to sit here and be able to see his scouts all the way over there. The rest can stay behind this hill, which will provide me with hard cover, line of sight blocking cover nonetheless, which means that his tank is not effective. So what does he do? Well, he moves up, and I thought this was a little bit of a mistake because that meant that his dog mine potentially could shoot himself. But he does move up here and takes a shot at my tank, trying to get a side shot. He had, I think it was a T60, so a light autocannon. He takes 2 shots. That's a 2 and a 4. He does not hit, which was more or less what happened in real life as well. He missed the shots bouncing off the trees and stuff. Right. At this point, we're ready to go into turn 2. Can you see the setup? Right? Can you see the setup? Right now, my cavalry is set up to charge those scouts. Now, it's a difficult fight. Ideally, I would want the scouts to be a little whittled down beforehand, but they have pins, and I am at long range. I'm in hard cover. They are not going to hurt me. They're most likely not going to hurt me if I get the first dice. We go to turn number 2. And I do get the first dice. Now, at this point, there are 2 things I can do. I can charge immediately, which would be gratifying, I grant you. It would be so cool. But that would also mean that my tank would be in danger. So what I did instead was I started with the tank. Because I want those scouts again to be a little whittled down. But I also want the tank to have moved because there's a dog mine over there. So I shuffled over, pretty close to the scouts, making sure that it was within 1 inch of the edge of the forest so I could shoot his tank without cover, and I could shoot the scouts still with my hole-mounted machine gun. So that's what I did. I'm shooting the hole-mounted machine gun at the scouts. At this point, there's no point in them going down. They're not getting any cover. I have moved though, but I'm at point blank. So I get 3 hits. Let's see if I can make any 5s. I get 2. My opponent, at this point, I believe he chose to take off these 2, which I thought was a mistake. I was perfectly happy to let him actually remove that guy, but he didn't. What would have happened if he had removed that guy? I would have run straight at his back line instead. So I was actually happy enough not to charge those damn veterans. So that is 2 hits. They get another pin. At this point, they're pretty pinned down, right? And I take my main gunshot at the T60, which is a 5. That's a +4 on a light AT gun. I rolled a 6, so that's a penetration hit. And it's a 3. He gets on fire. He rolls. He makes it, but takes 2 pins. Wow, that was even better than I did in real life. In real life, I think I gave him a crew stunned in real life. Right, that's it. But he also goes down. Right, on fire, goes down. Right. And I get the second dice. And at this point, I call the charge. This is, by the way, exactly what happened. I was lucky, I got the first 2 dice. So I call the charge. Sound the bugle. It is 12 point something inches, straight line, down to the scouts. The scouts, of course, get to shoot first. But, you know, they're pinned, so it's on 5s. And they get 1 hit, which is a pin for my cavalry. That's 1, so no casualties. The cavalry takes 1 pin, and then charges down. And I was setting this up. I was setting this up hoping that it might happen. If it didn't, I had other plans. I could go around that way, out here, move down into his back lines, or I could cut across down towards those small teams, which was a better target for my cavalry. So I was setting up possibilities. Now those possibilities actually turned out, right, to be possible. Twice in a row, by the way. Now, the difficult thing is, we're fighting simultaneously. I have 5 guys, he had 3. He had Tough Fighter, I had Tough Fighter. So, I roll, I get 2 hits, I re-roll my Tough Fighters, and get 1 more. That is a wipeout. He tries to hit me back, he gets 1, and that is all he gets. I remove 1 cavalryman, taking the rearmost guy. I often do that because I want to move further away. And the rest of the scouts are now killed off, removed from the game. I take his order dice, put it in my kill box, and then I consolidate 7 inches, immediately moving down towards his back line, because at this point his infantry here is pretty much screwed, right? I'm going to set up again. I'm going to set up to try and see what I can do for next turn, but I will make a snaking movement around here so that 7 inches, I could not move that far, right? So that I get some cover once he shoots at me, right? Now, he gets an order dice. He decides that discretion is the better part of valor at this point. He had 2 options, right? He could shoot his dog mines at my cavalry, hoping to get maybe 1 or 2 kills. He could shoot his officer at my cavalry, hoping to get 1 or 2 kills. Maybe get a few pins. He elects to just run. To hoof it, his officer runs behind the hill. And then it's my turn. I move my officer up so that he is right next to both of these units, because they might get pinned. And he gets his, and he decides to hoof it with the next unit as well. The dog mine runs over here. And that was it. At this point, I have conquered the center of the table. I have taken the objective. The objective is now under my control. Once I had killed this unit, my activation had ended, flipping the objective to my control. And now I had pushed his small units way into his back lines, and I'm 1 dice up at the same time. At this point, my opponent conceded the game, and, well, other stuff had happened as well, which, turned in my favor. But this was a very decisive move that gave me control of the center table. That setting up of possibilities of advance and giving myself possibilities. Let me just show you again how I set up these cavalrymen. Right, I was peeking one guy out, giving myself the option of a charge. Or, if I didn't want to charge, I could always go 18 inches up to here, setting up for next turn towards his company commander or his dog team, right? Or, finally, if that was not a possibility because of something, he might have drawn reserves in from another part, I could have gone 18 inches this way, behind his 260, moving into his back lines, down here behind this hill. So I gave myself options, hoping that the first dice would turn out, and it did. That was how I won that game. That move won me that game. I hope that it taught you something about positioning of your units, about using your units very deliberately, placing your individual guys so that they can see the way you want to go, if you need to go, right? I was setting up for a possible run move that way, possible run move that way, or a possible charge. 3 things in the same move. I was making sure all of those were possible. Yeah, that was it for me today. I do hope that was instructive, or, whatever. Leave a comment and I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.